I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of Michigan and to the state for which it stands, two beautiful peninsulas, united by a bridge of steel, where equal opportunity and justice to all is our ideal.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers?
Here.
Bowman? Wolfile?
Here. Here.
Mayor Foley?
Here. Okay, the first thing we have is the approval of agenda, but I understand we may need to add some things.
We do, Mayor. As mentioned late last week after the special meeting notice was already posted, we are working on a few other items for the council's consideration this evening. With respect to approval of the agenda, I am requesting a motion to approve the agenda as amended to add an agreement for administration and operation of Cadillac Community Television as item 4A, and a software replacement proposal is item 4B under a new heading entitled City Manager's Report. I'm also requesting the addition of a resolution to introduce an ordinance amending the city zoning map as item 5A under a new heading entitled Introduction of Ordinances and Resolutions.
Okay, you're going to do it? Oh, good. I was going to.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda with the additions, section 4A and B, and the addition to section 5A to the agenda.
And I'll support it.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Wolfile?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Mayor Foley?
Yes. Motion carries. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comment. We do ask if you come forward, if you would please say your name and then also write your name and your address. And if you could please limit your time to 3 minutes, we would appreciate that.
Hi, my name's Kelly Sider. I live in Marion. Why would you revise an agenda tonight and not publicly release that this is going to be discussed tonight? This is public money. This is a public station. Why is it? It's a TV station, public access. A minute into the meeting, you revise the agenda to run it through? Is that public interest? And simply put, the employees have been told, given a business card for Eric Watilla at his, what is it, 298? Have other stations been allowed to bid on this? Is this allowed by public funds?
We're going to discuss this later. That's okay. So,
Oh, after we leave.
No.
When
During
we
the
get this
meeting,
item. Okay.
during public comment, you have the opportunity to have your 3 minutes to let us know what you're...
Right. I just find it disturbing how it was not on the agenda, it was not on the public webpage. It was revised at the last minute. It was an accident? This has been planned for months.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, we'll go ahead and close public comment. And we will move to the public hearings.
thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The public hearing this evening is with respect to the sale of industrial lots within the Potvin Industrial Park. This was previously presented and discussed by the City Council at the time that the hearing was set. The details as such have not changed. The Cadillac Industrial Fund, however, has also met in accordance with the covenants of the Potvin Industrial Park and has rendered their unanimous approval for the sale of the lots as well, and before you is a copy of that letter accordingly. This is really an exciting opportunity for the city as we're embarking upon a process that will inevitably and hopefully sell the property to a company that's looking at putting in a approximately 150,000 square foot distribution facility for the sorting and distribution of small packages. And it's my recommendation this evening that a motion be made after of course, the public hearing that will approve ordinance number 2016-01 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the sale of the property upon review and approval of the city attorney and city manager. There will be some additional documentation put together that the city attorney and I will be reviewing and eventually will be forwarded to you for your consideration. That's the actual sale agreement itself that will stipulate the sale. That's not something that the city council has before it this evening to review, but through your action this evening would be granting that authorization to you, the mayor, and the city clerk to sign once it's been reviewed by the city attorney and myself.
All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the public comment, and we do ask if you come forward, again, if you would state your name and write your name and address, and also keep your comments to 3 minutes, and making sure that the comments have to do with this particular public hearing. Okay, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the public comment of the public hearing and open discussion for the council.
It's a great opportunity for us to move forward with this. It sounds like a good business, and we've got the support of the industrial fund for it. We've had plenty of notice. This meeting was scheduled for this hearing, and so we've had an opportunity to see this. I'm not hearing anything from the public that would get in the way of me approving this.
No, the only key we didn't have last time, everything was, as was earlier presented, was the support from the industrial fund, so...
That's correct.
That looks like everything's all set and ready to go.
Does the mayor need to sign this last page on here as the owner, or who signs that?
For the Fisher Group?
That was actually already executed after the February 1 approvals that were provided by City Council. It's just the draft copy that was in your packet.
Okay, but I signed this page?
Right.
Did we sign this page?
Oh, no, yes, the mayor will be signing that.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought that was a return letter.
Okay. So that'll be a part of the packet
Correct.
with the idea.
Yes.
Then I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2016-01 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the sale of the property upon review and approval of the city attorney and city manager.
And I will support that.
Any further discussion? Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Wolfile?
Yes.
Yes.
Clifford?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, and then we move to the city manager's report for this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council, and thank you for amending your agenda as well. Just to explain or try to iterate one more time, the meeting this evening is a special meeting which is different in nature than your regular meetings. We're required to post within at least 18 hours notice the meeting both online because we have a website as well as around City Hall. We additionally gave notice to the paper to The post online was done, I want to say early last week, and it's still, I believe, the very first bullet under our Cadillac happenings, so if anyone were to go to our website, you'll see it. With respect to the purpose of the meeting, per special meeting postings were required to actually post that purpose. At the time that the posting was made, the purpose of the meeting was simply the purpose in which this was set for, which was to host the public hearing for the sale of the industrial lots. Pursuant to our city charter, however, it does allow, through a majority vote of the city council, additional items to be added for consideration. That language was also part of the post, not unlike how we do special meeting, or have done special meeting postings in the past, where from time to time we have also added other items that have come up that have been ready to go. And that's exactly what happened in this instance. In fact, up until about 5 o'clock on Friday, I was still working on getting these items ready to go, and wasn't entirely certain if the three of them were actually going to be ready for consideration this evening. And so I do appreciate that. Appreciate the fact that the council added them. With respect to the agreement for administration and operation of Cadillac Community Television, public education, and government access cable television with the City of Cadillac and Wexford-Missaukee Intermediate School District. This is an item that we actually mentioned was going to be coming forward in a Cadillac report that was out several months ago. This has been talked about for quite some time, since the city was notified that CAPS was going to be reclaiming the studio and office spaces that this current CCTV operation is located in. At that time, we then the city reached out to the ISD to see if there would be some interest in partnering and collaborating on this operation. The current structure includes a part-time coordinator along with another part-time person that films our meetings and another part-time person that helps out with editing and production. The part-time coordinator is not local. From time to time, we are relying essentially on a volunteer and the other part-time person to help us with any kind of troubleshooting. Through moving this into collaboration with the ISD and then with their third party, we really believe we're going to open up a better opportunity for providing this service to the community in the future. A couple of the benefits that I had mentioned in the communication that I wrote up include the following. Establishing this new partnership with the ISD include opening up potential new opportunities for students to be hands-on and involved with CCTV, enhanced channel programming, possible future ISD curriculum expansion, access to upgraded technology and equipment, and the locally based turnkey manner in which CCTV operations will be managed in the future. There is no secret that the Wexford-Missaukee ISD does have a working relationship currently with the My News 26 operation. Additionally, the Wexford-Missaukee ISD did reach out to 9 and 10 to see if there was any interest in having that operation take over the responsibilities of what the local CCTV operation does for the city currently, and it is my understanding that there was no interest by anybody else looking at doing that. The city does have the right and the ability of entering into an interagency agreement or intergovernmental agreement, as what is being proposed this evening, with the Intermediate School District. The Intermediate School District will then be responsible for establishing their own third-party agreement, essentially with whomever that they wish. It's also no secret that the My News 26 operation has offered to meet with the current part-time folks to see if there could be any opportunities for them moving forward, assuming, of course, that they ultimately end up getting this responsibility. Jeff Jeanette, the superintendent from the Wexford-Missaukee ISD, is here today in support of this as well. I'm not sure if there's anything you may or may not want to hear from Jeff, but ultimately I do believe that this is going to provide an opportunity to see an expansion of the CCTV services and to keep it local, which would be nice.
I would be interested in hearing from Jeff. I'm excited about the opportunity for the students and the collaboration, so I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, and I agree with Mr. Pesha. We are so grateful at the ISD that we were even asked. And I want everyone to know that I did check with CAPS. CAPS was no longer interested in providing this programming. So once we had that go-ahead, we were able to move forward, and this is going to be great for our kids. Our digital media production, Mr. Petcha said that we work with My News 26, but I think you also know we work with 9 and 10. We work with anyone who will allow our kids to work with us. So it's a great partnership going forward. I did talk with 9 and 10 about possibly being a partner, and they said no pretty much immediately, which left us with really My News 26 as our only partner in town. And one thing, a couple things that we were concerned with, the personnel, and we wanted to make sure that everyone who's currently with Cadillac TV does have the opportunity to work for My News 26, and Eric Watilla has granted that. And then the equipment, because there was equipment bought by CCTV and CAPS in the past, and I've worked with CAPS to make sure that what's CAPS stays with CAPS, what's CCTV stays with us. And of course, with us taking over, just like with CAPS, if we were to get rid of any of that equipment, we would have to follow our own board policy. So it really is a great partnership, and we are tickled. For those of you who know Dave Cox from our Career Tech Center, he has really been pushing this because we know it's going to be great for kids. And we know that you might not have kids filming your council meetings, but we will have kids out there, because if you've watched both My News 26, and we're hoping to add it to CCTV, more high school games, events, that sort of things are the kids, and Mr. Watilla said that he will incorporate our students into that programming. So I think it's a win-win, and I agree with Mr. Petcha. We were dealing with our attorney, you were dealing with your attorney right till the end of the day on Friday. So this is something that we've been talking about. We just didn't know at what point we would have it on the agenda here. So it has been brewing, there's no doubt about that, but we needed to make sure you were protected and we were protected before we could move forward. If you do grant this, then obviously we do walk into, or we will start negotiations with My News 26 to try to advance, to protect our interests, and they'll have to protect theirs.
Okay.
We are looking at April 1 cutover.
Okay.
As I was going to ask timing, because it's like there's a special meeting. I know that we do not have a meeting until the end of March, and so is that the reason? Because right up at the top I said, why right now? So I understand that the need to get things moving in order to have things established by the beginning of April.
In a perfect world, I would have been here a week ago Monday.
Right.
When we tried on President's Day to have this, and we just couldn't get the attorneys to work that out.
Okay.
So that was our original hope.
Right, and then on the 7th of March, we don't have a meeting because of the election.
Right.
So it would have pushed this out until the end of March.
Right. So now, an opportunity with 26, the people that have been doing this, part-time, the employees that have been doing this over time, I'm concerned about this. An opportunity meaning like an interview, or that they will be able to come on to do the kinds of jobs that they've been doing?
I don't believe it's an interview. I believe it's going to be doing the jobs that they've been doing. But obviously, the rules change a little bit because My News 26 has their staff rules.
Right.
And that would be something new for the employees. Okay. As far as pay and that sort of thing, I can't speak to that. I just wanted to make sure if someone wanted to keep working, they'd still have that opportunity.
Okay. I do have one. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything for? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I do have one question in regards to the financial aspect of making this change. Can you clarify that for everyone?
The cost to the city is staying flat. It's identified as the flat rate within the agreement itself, which over time may be modified in writing by either party. It's currently at $25,000 annually. Through that, however, even though it's staying flat, we will be obtaining better technology to help with our meetings and filming from what we're using right now. And so there's going to be some increase of the service level, even with costs remaining as is, which is a plus for the city. Otherwise, we'd be looking at having to make that additional investment ourselves. So,
Any third-party agreement that they would enter into would not involve us, as I understand this, right?
That is
That would
correct.
be between them, between the ISD and the third party?
That is correct.
Okay. It wouldn't change what we're paying?
Correct.
Okay.
Were the folks at CCTV aware of that this was in process? Were they reached out to that this was happening?
I did not contact the CCTV coordinator until last week. It's been, as Jeff Jeanette mentioned, the superintendent, it's been in a real state of flux with respect to when the agreement was going to be ready. We tried a couple of weeks ago and even a few weeks before then, trying to get it up to council approval, and so until such time that we knew this was very likely going to come forward, we didn't want to make notifications because we simply didn't want to get people worked up about something that may or may not happen for months at a time. I made a call out last week and spoke with our coordinator, who actually seemed relatively relieved that this transition was going to be moving forward. Thought that it might...
Coordinator with CCTV.
Yes, our CCTV coordinator commented to me about how it would be great to see enhancements made to the station and the services that we provide, and I advised that it was likely to be coming forward on Monday if we could get the documentation finalized in time, and that he should let the other two part-timers know accordingly, and also let them know that they should contact my news to start talking about future opportunities with that facility.
There might be more work available, more opportunity.
Right, yeah, on doing work that has absolutely nothing to do with CCTV, right, with city TV, city broadcasts. So,
Of course, as was pointed out, the value to the students in ISD sounds like a great thing for them.
Yeah. And for the ones who've been doing it to
Right.
help with that.
Absolutely.
To mentor those.
Yep.
Are there any considerations in this agreement for being able to exit the agreement if we're not satisfied with the quality?
Yes, essentially without any cause, either party may in writing terminate within 60 days.
Within 60 days of the
Notice,
agreement?
of notice.
Oh, 60-day notice, okay.
60-day notice.
Not like buying a car.
Right. No, so at any point in time, we can terminate the relationship, and they can as well. So, as Jeff said, this has been a long time, working back and forth collaboratively since late last summer, trying to piece together how this could work, and very happy to be here this afternoon.
Well, I look at this agreement as an opportunity for our students. I look at it as an opportunity for the city to be able to upgrade our equipment and our services with no additional cost to the city or to the taxpayers. And I look at it as an opportunity for the people who worked for CCTV to become part of maybe something bigger. And change is difficult. I absolutely understand that, but I hope that as a community and a group of individuals that care about their community, that everybody can find a place in making a change like this, if this is what we all agree upon. So any other thoughts?
My biggest question, I'm sorry.
I'll just say my understanding of all this,
No, go. I already asked.
my understanding of all this is that we had to do something, though. I mean, we couldn't continue doing what we were doing because we lost our space, and so this is something that needed to be done.
That was something we didn't bring up, was at the additional studio space?
Yeah, we could have simply chosen not to pursue this, and have continued sort of in the same manner in which we've been providing the service for quite some time, minus the studio space. The opportunity in making this partnership with the ISD, though, as it's already been stressed, has been to open up essentially that collaboration with another educational institution, plus with the assumption that the third party is going to inevitably be My News 26, it also gains access to space that they have that could be used as a studio from time to time, not unlike the space in the school was used from time to time, which we lost. And so I saw this as a way where we can get kids back into the fold through the PEG channels, through the Cadillac Community Public Access channel, something that essentially we lost through the transition with CAPS, plus access to additional or new studio space, which again we lost as well. That isn't to say that we couldn't have tried to come up with another opportunity to find some kind of a studio space somewhere else, but looking at the collaboration with another school agency as the primary factor, this was really what we had to go with. So,
pretty much is a win-win for both sides, I think.
What did you have?
Well, I think it should be said that the folks that we've been working with have done a really fine job.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've bent over backwards to give us the service that they've given us.
And with the loss of the space at CAPS, I was going to ask, where is the stuff now? Where's the stuff being kept now?
some of the stuff is being kept at the Naval Reserve facility. The CAPS facility is still being used with respect to an office space for what's called the cable drop, which is something we're going to be looking at relocating as time goes on. So there's still equipment there that's being used to broadcast the signal out, and until we're able to get that relocated, CAPS has agreed to allow us to continue to use that space for that purpose.
That was on a temporary basis, though. They want it out of there. Okay.
Are we going to drop it in Jeff's office?
Jeff Dielen's office? Oh, Jeff, no. Yeah.
No, okay.
Why, what is important about the April 1st deadline?
We've been trying to plan to do this switch over now for several months since we lost the CAP space. We thought it would be nice to get something going while the kids are still in session and had a chance to be involved in some of the activities before year end with respect to filming and the production piece. I'm not involved as to how all that gets organized, but the later that we wait, the less of an opportunity there will be to get people involved in it. So.
Is there anything you can add to that, Jeff? We need you to come up.
In talking with Mr. Otilla, right now you've seen probably more sporting events on My News 26, and we're hoping to add more, but we're talking choir events, graduations, things like that we could add to that channel that not only will help our kids who are filming, but the families who are watching their kids performing or participating. So, if we could get that earlier date, like Marcus says, we can get the kids involved, get them involved with the process at the beginning so our juniors are ready to go when they're seniors, but also hopefully film some graduations, that sort of thing for our viewing area. Mm-hmm. That's just a nice feature that we can offer with this channel.
Right, to all the schools in here.
Correct. And we've been breaking it down pretty much every school. Maybe Marion isn't, and maybe not Mesick, but I know Manton, Pine River, that sort of thing are part of that viewing area, Lake City.
I'd like to request hearing from the Cedars on the feelings about this.
Okay. Can you do that? Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yep.
I'm speaking just because I speak every day. I'm a professor by day. My husband has volunteered for a good decade with this. And I've listened to what Marcus said. However, my opinion, because I spoke with Jeff also, is what he's presenting is cherry picking in terms of the discussion with Jeff. My husband was told by Jeff last Monday, effective today, the station is being turned over to Eric Watilla. You have to fire your daughter, who makes, I think she grossed $5,000 last year. And if a well-rounded discussion was to occur, I would think you'd want Jeff to come in, the station manager, my husband, and I know him well enough to say he probably won't want to speak because he'd lit into somebody. Because he has volunteered. You talk about graduations? I've been many nights without him because he's volunteering and taping. I can tell you those things are taped because he's gone. As for the ISD, history would really shed a lot of light on this situation because I do not know her personally, I just know the history. And Cammie Cook, who was the prior station manager, I'm not saying this is a personal attack, but she went to the ISD for the intention of teaching the students video editing, and they offered her, anything you send us, we will air. There has been nothing since she went there. And I'm just saying, I would hope you'd learn from the past before you know, and at least enter in a well-balanced discussion with the involved parties, rather than cherry-picking the pretty stuff. Because I can tell you if graduations have been taped, because I've missed weekends with my husband when he's there doing it. So go ahead and say choirs don't get taped. And I don't know where he was. Funny thing though, I'd stop in and see him and he'd be there. There's been times, he consults, there's been times he's been out of work and he does not build a city. Because he looks at it as a gift, and to not even be involved in the discussion when his heart and soul has been in it for so long is the issue. You can listen to, yes, Jeff is relieved because he's been working 2 jobs. He's been pouring his heart and soul into it too. His wife is thrilled because he only has 1 job right now. But you're not getting a well-balanced story just to pick the pretty stuff. So, and I'm all for students. I live that every day. I'm a teacher. So.
Now, if their daughter's a part-time employee, she's going to be able to continue with that?
He has other job prospects, thank you.
Yeah, and I was just sitting there, you both sound very passionate about it, and I'm sure that your daughter is too. And when I spoke earlier, and my hope is that, the opportunities that your daughter has had with CCTV, that those same opportunities and perhaps more would exist with the relationship with the ISD. And also for you volunteering, if you volunteered your time with CCTV, why wouldn't you have that same opportunity moving forward?
History. I'm Eric Sider. I'm still listed as the technical director. When Marcus left out, part one of the statement was, when Jeff needed somebody, I'm the one that comes over, leaves from McBain, drives over, turns the computer on and off, does whatever needs to be done. And I've been doing it since I started working there, since 2006. Right when I left 910 News, I came to work for CCTV. I worked for them many years. When they shut it all down, I knew that my people, Jed, whoever else was working for us at the time, and we've gone through a couple of people, needed the money more than I did. This $25,000, if we were able and got that $25,000 that many years ago, we could have continued and built on that studio. All our volunteers left, everything was gone. When they took it to the ISD, by then it had been driven down to nothing. Because nobody wanted to work. We had 25 students from CATS in there on a daily basis that just didn't do anything except for flip videos. So she moved over to ISD, great. They got new equipment, fantastic. Can the kids do better work? Absolutely. Did I ever see one video from them? Ever? No. Ever have I received anything from ISD. I've either had to produce it myself, get somebody else to do it, find somebody to do it, or we do it with Jeff down in Battle Creek carrying 2 jobs. If I knew that this kind of money was available for this long of a period of time, didn't you think that we could have built something better with more personnel, with the right equipment all the time? I know the money was there for the asking. That's what I keep on being told. But when you don't get an email back, when you don't get a phone call back, nobody communicates with you from the city. How am I supposed to buy anything? How am I supposed to fix anything? What am I supposed to do when I get a phone call down in Branson, Missouri? Oh, by the way, we're knocking down your studio. You might want to be here to take control of it. I'm 700 miles away, middle of summer, and they demolished everything. We had a beautiful backdrop made out of cherry. Don Long built it for us, everything. They used it for a dump ramp and threw it in the garbage. All that stuff, volunteers from years gone by that built, it's all gone. Of course it's the schools. They can do that. But where is all that equipment? Everything that they took that used to produce it was demolished, thrown in a dumpster, and it was done. Some of the equipment is kept, yeah. All of it's totally outdated and unusable. And I've been saying this for years now. These cameras here, I've been wanting to replace for years. These are hand-me-downs from CAPS. But you can't use them. These ones I purchased with Paul Liebenow. I was the one that spec'd these out. That's how long I've been working to try and keep this rolling. And then, what communications do I get? None.
The thank you is let your daughter go.
That was my... Oh, by the way, there you go.
And no notice. What do you know? A meeting tonight. Funny. Ironic. Sad.
So, you see, I'm a little pissed. I'm really mad. Really disappointed. I'm hurt. I think a lot of things will be going by the wayside. But to let a commercial entity take over? That's what we've always been fighting for, public access. It's not commercial. You can't just say, we're going to make money from this. This is so that people in the community will come out and give you videos, songs. How many times have you seen me shoot Jazz in the Park for free to make sure it's on the air? How many nights I go to Gopherwood? How many nights I do anything?
Nobody gets paid. Where's the money going?
I'm using equipment so far outdated, but I'm making it work. And now all of a sudden, the ISD can do it. Wait a minute. And my 26 is going to take care of it. Right here, the Philippines, how many concerts do you think I've taken? And I don't miss any. If I don't miss them, I make sure they're videotaped, one way or another. And they're aired, and they're copied, and they're duped for the parents that want them. How many times I've gone to all the other schools in the towns around here that the cable footprint hits and said, hey, videotape anything. I finally got Bain to start doing it a little bit. It's taken years. Now, great opportunities. The opportunities I've been asking for almost a decade now. And now it's just, there you go. Nice magic trick, everything's cool. It's all going to happen real nice and peaceful. When I was teaching, Eric Witilla worked with us. He was a great kid. He still is a great kid. But at that point, he wanted those stations to control. Because he needed it. He's got his beautiful stations. But he wants more. I'm going to step back down because I'm starting to really lose. This is a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion. I think the ISD needs to produce something first and show that something is going to be able to be produced. Not chicken before the egg. Thank you.
What do you know? Let's vote. We're good.
Again, I think that I would just say again that I think that sometimes change is very, very difficult, especially when we're very passionate about something. But I do see an opportunity for those dreams to come true with everybody working together. And that's what I would hope for, that everybody that's been involved could continue to be involved, and the resources would be available. If we're going to be taping, and this is ISD, this has nothing to do with the city, but, you know, for kids' concerts and games and everything that they want to cover, people are going to be needed to volunteer or work to make sure that all of that happens. And I think that there is enough work or volunteer work out there for everybody to still do what they're passionate about. So it's difficult.
If you could turn back time and have included Eric in some of this, I think that would have made a difference. I know you went to the professionals and not the volunteers, but as he said, he was the guy that came and fixed things and was always here to do stuff, so I apologize for that not happening. And I don't believe that it was an intentional slight in any way. And, and I do appreciate everything that you've done forever and ever. I don't know what kind of opportunity for volunteers there will be with the new configuration if we vote for it. But I wish there was, you'd been involved sooner. That's what I wish.
I can offer to the council that the model of the operation does rely on assistance. Currently, it's my understanding that in some of the events, community-related events, students already are getting involved and volunteering their time and filming various activities. That's only going to get greater. And beyond students, there would be nothing that would prevent anybody from the community from also continuing to volunteer their time if they wanted to film community-related activities and then submit them unedited for airing on the station. So
I know you're offering that as saying if our passion is there to volunteer to still be there, but there's a point at which the bridge is burned and you don't go back.
I don't see this as burning a bridge, ma'am. I'm sorry.
From our perspective, it is.
I understand.
When he wasn't even consulted, other than being told, let your daughter go, effective Monday.
Well,
that does not buy into dedication for volunteering. So,
is that how it went, that they contacted people and said you're done as of Monday?
When I contacted the coordinator last week and explained to him that this was coming forward likely on Monday, he erroneously mistook that as this was the cutoff date. Subsequent to that conversation, I did speak with Mr. Sider for quite some time on the phone, and he actually was the one that mentioned to me how that was their general understanding. I corrected that that very afternoon by calling the coordinator back and saying, I'm not sure what it is that you think is going to be the cutoff, but the city is going to issue a formal written letter stating when that cutoff is actually going to be, minimally giving folks at least the customary 2 weeks notice. I said everything needs to continue to operate under the status quo, and the coordinator said, oh, okay, I'm really sorry, I misunderstood you, I'll let them know. And as I further let the coordinator know that the cutoff date will likely be April 1, which is over a month away, at least it was that last week. So,
did he also inform people at that time that they would be able to have an opportunity with the new?
Yes. In fact, I confirmed with him today that he did reach out to both our camera operator that's here this evening, as well as Natasha Sider, the other part-time person, to advise that they should be in contact with the third party, My News, and pass along their contact information. And I also passed along contact information
Kelly,
to,
I have to ask that you stay seated.
to our cable operator, myself personally. So.
Not sure if it was handled as well as it could have been. I'm really disappointed with the unsettledness of this, and I don't think I can support it. I'm really disappointed that more people weren't brought into the conversation to make this a smooth transition.
If it helps at all, Mayor, members of the City Council, the mindset that we had here was with myself, a member of my staff working with the same counterparts over with the ISD, is that we were looking at making a complete break from the current status quo, from the current way that the service is being provided. The technical expertise is going to be handled by a different party, altogether different from the ones that are currently handling it, using different equipment, in fact, that is currently being used as well. The time that we spent was essentially negotiating the terms of how exactly we will be holding each other accountable for the provision of this service. And we honestly didn't believe it would require bringing in our part-time coordinator or our essentially key volunteer to discuss how it would be looking forward without them as a part of that mix. That was the reason, certainly not to slight these folks in the least, or not because they don't have ultimate technical understanding of how to run this operation. But given that it's going to presumably go into a completely different direction with different equipment and different people managing that equipment, we just didn't seem to think it was appropriate for them to be a part of that dialogue until such time that we were ready to actually present this for public discussion and consideration this evening, letting them know officially that this is where we were going to be recommending it go.
So if this kind of thing happens in the future, and there's somebody that's been involved in it for as long as, like, Mr. Cedar's been involved in it, that it would, even if you know you're moving forward without the technical know-how on that equipment, I think that as just a courtesy and a recognition for the amount of time and energy, and I remember him coming over here in snowstorms and making sure that we had sound, that to hear it, you know, just like all of a sudden, bam, it's decided. A heads up is just a humane thing to do for folks, and it breaks my heart to see you so upset, because I know how much you've done, and Jed back there too, and everybody who's done this all these years. And as Mayor said, change is always difficult, but we can make it less difficult by being more forthcoming. When I saw this, just that it was made by Friday, at the top it's like, why right now? Why this fast? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't give people time to just let it absorb, between Friday and today. It's like, wait, what? I mean, imagine if our whole structure, all the stuff that we do, is all of a sudden going to be gone. And because we're not the key player, we don't hear about it until there's nothing to say about it. So it doesn't have to be that way, especially with such a small community and a small group of people that they're involved in this. Now I know that talking to Jed and talking to Eric wouldn't change anything or do anything, but just to let them know that something's coming down the pike, even if it hasn't been decided, even if it's maybe wouldn't happen, just to have an inkling that this kind of thing could be happening. It feels like selling the store out from under them. I can see it in their faces.
Well, and I think that in this situation, Jeff is the person who is the administrator of this account, so that's who you would have been speaking to, but probably what we could have done differently is to suggest a conversation with Jeff and with Eric. but that's,
Yeah.
Jeff is the administrator, and that's who our administrator was having a conversation with.
Right.
But what you're saying is that perhaps the people, and maybe that was Jeff's responsibility. We're not going to point fingers or throw anybody under the bus, but we see the importance of that because of the feelings that are in the room. So, I will say that when I was having some conversation, because I had some real concern about this, and when I was having some conversation with Marcus about it, I will say that his description of Eric and of Natasha was that they were the boots on the ground, and they always did a fabulous job. So that piece of this whole puzzle does not go unnoticed, has not gone unnoticed.
And I would hope that initial shock and hurt feelings don't keep Natasha or you from really continuing to be part of this. This is what it does, is it gets it back to the kids, and that's where you started. When it was with just the CAPS kids, and this reaches out to the kids from McBain, Pine River, all around. So
I think we need to, if anybody's comfortable with the motion, or any discussion from this other than that.
Is there any public feedback allowed? Just the whole statement? No?
yeah, no, I
We have to, I think we've heard everybody's position, and we appreciate you coming.
You should start over, because it isn't working the way it's presented.
I just, being the new guy, I don't understand why it is that the CCTV contract had to go. Was it being not successful? Was there a money thing? What was it? That I don't understand. I understand all the things that the superintendent said, and I gotta agree about the kids being able to do things and all of that. I'm all for that kind of stuff. Obviously, I was an educator myself for a long time. But I don't understand why that had to go. That's all. If somebody could certainly...
Yeah, to try to summarize, the relationship that we had with Cadillac Public Schools eliminated.
That I understood.
The space that was being used for the home of CCTV went away.
That I also understood.
There is no other public school agency in town aside from the ISD in which being able to have the relationship and the access for getting students involved exists, other than, again, with the Wexford-Misaki ISD. From a public school perspective, the ISD has a digital media curriculum program already. There was conversation years ago about CAPS possibly looking at creating a similar type of program, but it never took off. It never formulated. The ISD currently has a relationship with My News 26, and as Jeff also mentioned, with 9 and 10, two of which would have been the most likely successors to actually take over the physical operations of the station itself, being responsible for putting the shows, the programming on air, maintaining the electronic bulletin boards, none of which, by the way, will be done in any kind of commercial manner. It all has to be done in accordance with state law. And so the fact that My News 26 is a commercial agency has no bearing on that. They're simply working through the ISD, and the relationship that the city is going to have is directly with the ISD itself. As I mentioned, we could have continued to kind of keep things going through the status quo, we would have had to eventually figure out where to find another space, access to additional equipment. Those issues weren't going to completely go away. As Councilmember Wolfile mentioned, it was basically a win-win approach, where since we lost the space with the CAP system and started conversations essentially late last summer, early fall with the ISD to try to move this forward, we saw this as an opportunity to kind of get everything that we were looking for. Access to the public to have a ability of putting on programming, access to have professionals be responsible for essentially the operations of CCTV itself, and a relationship with another education institution, another public education institution, whereby curriculum can get enhanced and students can get involved, even greater than they are already. And so, with respect to the timing of all this, we've been, frankly, trying to bring this forward for quite some time. It just hasn't been something that was ready to go until recently, as we fine-tuned the agreement between our parties, between the city's attorney and the attorney through ISD. There were a few points that up until essentially Friday afternoon we finally got them ready to go. Knowing that we were meeting today, we felt that this would be a perfect opportunity to get the deal considered by City Council. Otherwise, it postpones everything again by basically a month or maybe even 2 months, because it then pushes it back further for then the ISD to consider it and move it forward. So, and then obviously we wanted to provide some transition time between switchover. And so looking at the April 1 date, there's a solid month essentially to be able to start working on that.
So our only really other options, as I understand it, was to keep going the way we were going without a place to be, so to speak, or to move in this direction. Am I right, or am I?
No, that's a good summary. I would also say that personally, I do not believe that the current operation was very sustainable either.
Okay.
With the part-time coordinator being part-time, being remotely located, as Mayor, you had mentioned, really relying on Eric Sider, our key, only real full-time volunteer, being local, who has been working on this old equipment since day one. There had to be a change, and this opportunity provides us with that change. I absolutely get that it's a sensitive issue, because it is a change for a few of these folks in their daily lives. I don't have control as to whether or not there is a bona fide job available for them, but I'm optimistic that there certainly could be, if they wish to follow up on that with the third party that eventually will be working on this. I really would not be recommending this to the City Council this evening if I didn't believe that this would be a way that we would be enhancing our ability of providing this public access. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be here suggesting that we look at doing this. I feel that the agreement is providing everything that the city would require, at least to the best of my knowledge, and the city attorney who also reviewed it, as well as everything that I believe the ISD is looking for as well. It's streamlined. It indicates how the ISD does have the authority of utilizing a third party for the said operations. The third party, by law, is going to be required to operate within the framework of the franchise agreement and the Metro Act, the state law governing public access. I feel like I'm rambling, so I apologize. But I'm just trying to provide a level of comfort. With respect to, again, interaction with Eric and with Jeff as a part of that process, I certainly did not mean any ill will towards any of our current folks that have been helping out since long before my time. We just kept it between administrator and administrator level. So,
Unfortunately, that way.
but
I also recall, Bill, that when we were kicked to the curb by CAPS, there was like this panic about, now what do we do? And the to upgrade the equipment to where it isn't dinosaur equipment is an exorbitant amount of money. It's a lot of money. And to be able to, I remember too, if I may be wrong, but I doubt it, I remember us thinking about trying to get toward another educational entity. And then you said that you looked at other,
At the time that we were advised that our relationship with Cadillac Area Public Schools for the use of that space was coming to an end, I did do a sort of brief write-up in the Cadillac report that went out to City Council, gets put on our website, and is sent to every member of our staff, full-time staff, just advising about how, a change will be coming and that we're going to be looking at, another option. I've also provided various updates through correspondence to council between now and then as well, just kind of leading on where some of the negotiations are going and what we're looking at doing as well. To try to keep people in the loop as best as
So Eric's concern is he wasn't, or doesn't believe anyway, that he was cut in on any of this.
And he's
Is that
true
right?
on that. And that is absolutely true. I did not bring
Okay.
Eric into the negotiations with the ISD.
And I can see where you had to be dealing on that level. But then again, as my fellow member said, that's a tough shot on a fellow who's volunteered his time, all this time, to I can understand everything you've said and everything everybody else has said, and I'm kind of like Council Member Spillman and Shippers, like it's a tough thing to have to do. It is. And I don't know what else we could do. I don't.
Yeah, my concerns don't have anything to do with the ISD.
Yeah, no, me neither.
And I just think that it wasn't handled as well as it could have been, and all the parties that were involved should have been brought into the discussion on how we were going to transition it. It's really unfortunate.
But then the question is, what can we do about that? I mean, at this point, other than set everything aside again, as city manager said, and of course now, I think, these folks know what happened. They maybe didn't know it then, but they do know, they know it now after this, and so it seems to me that's our choices. Set things aside and look at this again somehow, or as Councilmember Shipper said, tell them we're really sorry this got screwed up this way, but we wish it wouldn't have happened, but it did happen.
Well, and I think that we have to look at it, I absolutely am on the same page with everyone else. But when we look at it from a business perspective, if I, as a supply chain administrator, were negotiating something, I would be dealing with the person who is the administrator. And the administrator has an accountability to the people who work for him to have opened that dialogue from his side.
Yeah, there was a failure there too, I believe.
Yeah. And then the
And that doesn't make Eric feel any better at all, because that certainly would have...
The other thing that's bothering me here is I don't think Eric should feel like a persona non grata because he's a volunteer.
Right.
No,
I mean, we have, we need to elevate volunteers, not cut them out of the dialogue like they don't matter.
I agree.
On the other hand, I guess, and maybe, I don't want to have to make him get up again, but maybe he could explain it, but it sounds like that Marcus spoke on that level to the coordinator person, right?
I did. I spoke with the coordinator about a week and a half ago, advising him that the new direction is finally starting to form and come to fruition. And this was before I knew for certain if the documentation was going to be ready for today's date. But I said, I need you to reach out to the people that work for you to let them know that this is coming. And I provided him with all the reasons why and explained that we would, be talking again. And he said, no problem, I get it. And I'll put together, he called it the Bible on some of the operational issues of the station to ease up the transition. I tried to have him come up and have the conversation in person, but he fully admitted his schedule didn't provide for that, which again is another example as to why this transition, I think, is going to benefit this operation, these services that we provide.
Excuse me, so his responsibility would have been to talk to his volunteers.
And he did.
Oh, okay, sounds like he told them the wrong thing. Maybe a little late.
Mark, I want to see it just real quietly. Jeff has not been, I just got done with another meeting with Jeff on Saturday. This has all been new to him too. Marcus said, tell him. 6 months ago? No. 3 months ago? No. 2 months ago? No. And wouldn't it be his, since he is the coordinator, and when he was invited, didn't he say that his plans are out to a month to schedule a day to be up here? He would have been here, and he would be able to say what I'm saying here. He knows what I'm saying here, because we work that well together. So I agree with, understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to let you know.
Well, no, I hear you.
Well, I think that we need to take the conversation to a point that we either make the motion to approve this or we don't. So I'm going to ask for a motion one way or the other.
I guess, Mr. Snyder, I want to chime in here because I've been listening to all this. I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate all the passion and time that you did over the last 10 years or however long you've been. Maybe it has been more. And obviously that came from the heart, that this was something you were really involved and dedicated to, and I thank you for that. And I do say where you feel like the rug may have been jerked out from under you, and I feel badly about that. I truly do. It's like getting hit in the side of the head, and I wouldn't like that either, so I apologize for that. I do think that I would hope that there'd be an opportunity, if we move this forward, that you would look at once you get a chance to think about this and get grasp with it, that you and your daughter would look at moving forward and continuing on with it, if there's an opportunity there, because I think if you continue the good work that you've done, it would be a valuable asset to this. But I do see this as moving CCTV forward because of the opportunities it's providing. So I guess I'm going to throw the motion out there and we'll see where it goes. I'll make the motion to approve the agreement for administration and operation of Cadillac Community Television, Public Education, and Government Access Cable Television with the City of Cadillac and Wexford-Missaukee Intermediate District.
You know what, I'll support it. It's a hard thing. And again, being the new guy, I feel bad about it, but I'll support it.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Keyes?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Bowman?
No.
Wolfaro?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. With respect to transition, we'll keep council in the loop on dates and so forth accordingly. Sorry, just getting my notes here. The next item for council's consideration this evening is with respect to our software replacement proposal. As City Council may recall, we had discussion about a month or so ago regarding the opportunity to try and provide e-bill payments, credit card payments, and other electronic forms of payments for both financial software. Let me break this up a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself. For both the payment of taxes as well as for other fees and services like utility billing. Currently, the city is maintaining two different software systems. They are not integratable. We would have to look at acquiring a module in order to accept that with the one system with the other system. It would not really be cost effective. I am going to punt this to Owen to go through the communication, but as you'll see in the recommendation, we are recommending that we consolidate into one system, the BS&A system, and then essentially update or upgrade that system accordingly so it can manage the acceptance of the electronic payments. This is something that does take some time to do. It's also important the council understands that it's not exactly turnkey. It's going to take several, probably weeks, you think? How many, or even months for the transition?
Yep. Are you ready for me?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead. I'm punting.
So this has been a discussion that's been in place for a while internally, and as you can see, I think by the proposal from New World, it's just been really cost prohibitive. And so what we had asked council for a month or 6 weeks ago was basically the authorization to go out, talk to both of the companies that we currently use, one just for tax billing and one for basically everything else, and say what's the best proposal that you can make for us going forward so that we can both integrate and accept basically all forms of electronic payment. And so over the course of time with New World, they had started out, and you can see the changes that they had made in their proposals. They basically were working very hard to keep us as a customer, and we were very frank with them, saying, you know, we're going to move forward in one direction, and that could be switching to another piece of software. So take a big swing at it and give us the best proposal that you can give. So they did that, and basically they made it financially so that the finances of the deal basically, instead of being a 3 to 4 year payoff to switch, really that extended that out to 7 or 8 years, which would typically go beyond the bounds of a typical return on equity or payback period that you'd look at, especially for a piece of software. But we did currently, our current software we bought about 12 years ago, so I was comfortable extending that out a little bit as far as a long-term analysis goes, just because of the nature and character of the software that we're recommending. So we continued to walk down the path. We had BS&A come in and provide us a proposal as well. I think the important things that we need to talk about tonight are essentially that to stay with New World and BS&A will always operate two systems. Because BS&A is the leader in property tax billing software in the state of Michigan, hands down by a long shot. So that's what the county uses, and in order to get the county equalization data down to us, we're always going to have BS&A for taxes. So to stay with New World and BS&A and have the smaller initial cash outlay, we would always be on two systems. The opportunity with BS&A is to get everything under one umbrella. So utilities, taxes, miscellaneous billing, all the things that we do financially here can be done under one umbrella. This also, the proposal from BS&A, all of those things can be paid for essentially, except for some of the miscellaneous stuff. If you have you get a bill from the city, you can pay it online. This is a turnkey, basically, solution to say one system, online, in-person, credit cards, e-checks, debit cards. The other advantage of BS&A is they do have a partner that is a credit card processing company that they have allowed direct integration into their, additional integration into their database so that we can even offer things like recurring payments. And so what has to happen there is a customer signs up for that. The credit card company has to speak directly in real time to the database to say, you authorize me to make this recurring payment of your water bill on the 15th of every month. I need to, as a credit card processor, go back into that database, figure out the balance on your account, and automatically make that payment with your prior authorization. That kind of real-time and added integration is not available in the current setup with what we've got proposed from New World. So there is that additional advantage of going with BSNA as well. When you look at initial cash outlay versus long-term cost structure, I think you look at the annual maintenance charges, which currently are at about $33,000 a year with New World, and they were able to pare those down to just under $25,000. But the real payback then in your long-term cost structure, operating cost structure, is if you look at BSNA, though yes, you have a greater initial output, those maintenance costs are $11,000 a year, so less than half on the annual maintenance fees for those services. This allows us, again, to get everything under one umbrella, cash receipting under one system, which currently we do under two, which that impacts, a lot of our other day-to-day, month-to-month financial requirements that we have to do. So without going on and on too much about that, basically the big advantages are one system for everything. The online functionality is more advantageous to us. Again, because if we were on a different system for utility billing than property tax billing, then we would have to integrate a processor with two separate programs from two separate portals into two separate databases, and that is going to cause some additional complexity. So what we are looking for, and again, what I've kind of justified this to myself is over the next 7 to 8 years, we're going to spend this money anyways. The BSNA proposal requires us to spend a little bit more of it up front, but then after 7 or 8 years, we have a lot more affordable long-term cost structure. And so what that does is it enables us to consider, implement perhaps some other things that we've looked at over the years with online agendas, online boards and commission type software that's out there. That when they say, yeah, you can do it, but it's going to cost you, $3,000-$4,000 a year, and I look at a cost structure where we're paying $33,000 already, and think that that's just simply unaffordable. This allows us to explore some of those additional opportunities. So those are the key advantages that we're looking at. We did anticipate this over the last couple of years. There is $125,000 in the capital improvement program where we thought this was kind of the direction that we were going to be looking at going, and so we put that in the CIP. So this isn't really a shock. This is something we've talked about. It's something we've sort of had in the back of our mind as a direction that we thought we would end up going based on wanting to have everything under that one system, one umbrella. We're ready to pull the trigger. It's going to take probably 6 months to get it fully implemented. However, the taxes are already on BSNA, so I can tell you that property taxes will be able to be paid online with the July bills that go out. That can be either an e-check or a credit card. Credit cards will be a little bit more expensive, but that will be available beginning in July. The utilities will take a little bit longer than that, most likely based on the schedule that BSNA presented to us, at least in our initial discussion. So that's the summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
I just wanted to reiterate, first the council understands, I know you guys do, but for the public really, it's not an overnight switch. So assuming we move in this direction, I want to make sure the general public understands it won't be like we'll be accepting credit cards next week. I mean, it takes time to build it in the system. Right. And we'll certainly communicate.
And our next tax billing cycle is July, and that'll be available. But utilities, I would guess late summer. They initially gave us an August timeline. We could maybe push it up a month or two earlier than that. But no matter which direction we would go, there would be some implementation time.
Does the county use BS&A for everything that they do?
They use BS&A for everything, yep. So this would be the exact same system that they're using. And incidentally, I think it's important to note too, they didn't offer these modules when we went out to bids in 2004. So it wasn't, they offered tax at the time, but it was like the property tax suite basically was all that they had. So property taxes and special assessments and equalization and assessing, they had those kind of services, but they did not have a full suite of financials. They've rolled that out over the last 10 years or so, and they get really, really high ratings and reviews from their current users, several of whom we've talked to,
So this might be a crazy question, but right now we operate our utilities department as a different corporation. And this software is going to allow us to be able to do electronic payment for this operation and this operation. Is that what you said?
We bill taxes under BS&A. We do all of the city's other financial functions, including utilities and payroll, general ledger, budgeting, purchasing, under a different system. So we operate the utility billing system both over there and on our side of the building because we take all the payments here. But we have, so a cashier, if you come in with a tax bill and a utility bill, she has two pieces of software open. She'll receipt your taxes into one and receipt your utility bills into the other. So this will just marry those two together and allow all of that integration to happen automatically, so the GL postings and...
I guess I was going at it from the perspective of the cost, the capital equipment cost is all going to come out of the city operation and not out of the...
No, that's not true. If you look in our budget, we have what's called the Information Technology Fund, which is just a fund, basically, it's a governmental type of fund. It's called an internal service fund, where all of the other governmental entities can contribute an annual amount into this fund, and then this fund handles all of the IT investments. So the utilities fund contributes, it's like $45,000 a year into the IT fund to pay for the computers and the IT service provider and the software, the support and all of that. And then the main IT fund itself pays all the annual fees, buys the computers, pays our contract with IT Right, things like that.
Okay.
So, good question. Yep,
Okay.
If you want to complete with BN or BSNA, then that New World system that we currently have just shut down.
It goes away, yeah. Which will take a little piece of my heart with it, because I was the original project manager when that thing was implemented and have hundreds and hundreds of hours in the management.
You do the budgeting on that system?
Well, we do the numbers of the budget, and BSNA also has a budgeting system, so that part of it will be pretty smoothless, and they'll convert most of our old data, at least the summary part of it, into the new system, so some of that history, most of that history will come across. So from my perspective, in the budget document that you see, that's pretty unrelated to the financial software piece. Yeah.
So you were the project manager on the New World system, and you're going to be the project manager on the...
No, I'm not. I'm gonna delegate that one.
Are you?
I have some very eager people that can't wait to drive that process.
Really?
I'll be involved, but in fact, one was going to be here. I'm not sure if she's back there still, but she knows who she is. Yeah. But it's a big advantage though, because they'll be involved in building the system from brick number one up.
So they'll be more knowledgeable.
They'll be so knowledgeable about the system. They'll be autonomous, able to just really figure out their own processes, and I'm really about the only one left, even though that was only 12 years ago. About the only one left that really built that other system from the ground up. So that would be a big advantage as well.
Any other questions?
Okay, if there's no other questions,
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the contract with BS&A Software from Bath, Michigan for $131,550 to implement the proposed software solutions in accordance with their proposal.
okay, do have one other question.
Shoot.
They're down in Bath, Michigan. Do they have anybody that lives local that is a tech or a support person for you?
I don't know that any of their techs are local, but our sales rep was originally from Cadillac.
Oh,
So Steve Rennell, I don't know his family ties in the area, but he was back for the Snowmobile Festival, and he was up on a couple of occasions and called in advance that I'll only come if we can have G&D for lunch, so...
Awesome. That
Yeah,
usually
so-
brings people back to Cadillac.
Yeah,
Well, I just
exactly.
wondered if
So-
they've got the county and now they have the...
Yeah, he's got a lot of local ties. They're also very closely related to IT Right, our contract IT provider. In fact, their offices are almost right across the road from each other, and there was a family relationship between the two companies that like brothers, I think, started the two. Then they're completely separate, but they're very close, and so all of our IT Right support staff, like, man, if you guys were just on BSNA, this would be so much easier. And so they're very intimately familiar with the management of that from a hardware operating system side.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Wolfile?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. This next item is with respect to the introduction of a resolution that introduces an ordinance amending the city zoning map and to set a public hearing. This is with respect to the Cherry D project that was heard last week by the Planning Commission. A recommendation along with conditions from the Planning Commission was approved to move forward to the City Council. Tonight's action is simply setting the public hearing to discuss that accordingly at your regular meeting scheduled for Monday, March 21st.
So tonight, we're just simply setting the public hearing.
Setting a date. Yep.
I'll make that motion to approve the resolution to introduce an ordinance amending the city zoning map and set a public hearing for March 21st, 2016.
I'll support it.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Coleman?
Yes.
Wolfile?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes. Motion carries. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.